making a difference in people's lives. You're creating an experience that's needed. So, having said that, I will be Patrick, you will be one of the judges as well. So everybody's in place. You need a pad. You need your pad. But I'm going to have, wait a minute, Troy stands for total commitment. As you look at yourself and look at your goals, 99 and a half won't get it. You have to be totally committed. R stands for reinvent yourself. In order to achieve the goals that you want to achieve, you have to be willing to die to who you've been to give birth to who you must become. And O stands for optimism. If you have a negative mindset, you'll never make it. And Troy, what's the last word in Troy? Yield to the still small voice within. How many of you ever said to yourself, if I had just listened to my first mind, I wouldn't be in the situation I'm in now? Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause to Troy.
Can't believe they called me from behind the camera to come to the stage. They know I'm just the videographer. I'm the camera guy. Those were the thoughts that were going through my head as the lady came from backstage and she said, you, come here. I'd been hired to video record a fashion show. I had my camera set up and I was ready to do my thing, and she said, I need you. So I walked backstage and she said, one of my models haven't showed up. You're the perfect size, you're the perfect shape. Will you be a model for me? Doesn't she know I'm just the video guy? I take the pictures, I do the video recordings. But before I knew it, I found myself backstage. And they were putting on a tuxedo on me. I said, before then, they said, you got to change clothes. I said, okay, where's the dressing room? No, that's not how it works. This is the dressing room. It's just like life. There's no dressing room. There's no rehearsal. This is the real deal. So they dress me up and I walk out on stage and I see the lights and I see the cameras that I set up. And I was nervous and nerves just took over me, but I walked out there. You know what I did after that? I went back to the back. I went back downstage and I went back to my camera. But there was something in that moment that triggered in my mind that there was something more for me to do other than just being the camera guy. But I went back to the camera and did for years what I've always been taught and trained to do. I'm the video guy. I'm the videographer. I had a chance to do interviews and do videos with a lot of celebrities and a lot of wonderful people. And everybody knows me as, I'm the camera guy. So I went back to my comfort zone being the camera guy. One day I was on my way back from Houston, Texas, I believe it was. I flew in an airplane from Houston back to Atlanta. And I was driving home from Atlanta back to Florida. So I'm the camera guy. Brought all of my equipment, my plan was I was going to stop in Columbus, Georgia. It was a late night flight. I was going to stop in Columbus. I was going to drive up from Columbus. I was going to drive back to Florida in the morning. 30 minutes outside of Columbus, I fell asleep on the road. And I woke up to all of my equipment flipping around in the car, and my SUV was turning flips, and I landed in a ditch, half ejected from the vehicle. So waist down, I was trapped underneath the car. And while I was underneath the car, there were 6 words that penetrated my mind and my ears that I just could not avoid. And those words were, Troy, May I have your attention, please? You know, sometimes things happen in life that we would define as a tragedy, but I believe it's just God asking the question, may I have your attention, please? Because God knew that I was much more than just the camera guy. It's something more for you to do than just get up on stage or get behind the camera and do all of these wonderful pictures and everything. But sometimes we're stubborn and we don't think and we just want to stay in our comfort zone. The guy came up to me. I don't know how long I was there. I do know that my flight landed at 9 o'clock. They found me in the pitch black dark at 2 o'clock in the morning. The guy came up to me and he says, don't move. Don't move. We don't know how bad your injuries are. Don't move. He called a record truck. Incidentally, this guy who just so happened to come by was an off-duty EMT. He was off duty, but he was driving his ambulance. Les Brown says coincidence are God's way of being anonymous. So coincidentally, he drove by in the ambulance and he attended to me, but he couldn't get the vehicle off of me. So he calls the record truck driver, and the record truck driver comes in. The ambulance driver gets back into the ambulance, and I don't understand all of what went on, but he was in the ambulance when the record truck driver pulled up. The record truck driver saw the ambulance and saw the lights on the back of the ambulance on inside the ambulance. He thought I was in the ambulance. So he hooked the chains up to my car while I was underneath it. And he began to just about engage it, and all of a sudden, he heard a shout that said, "Help!" He said the hairs on the back of his head stood up because he knew he was about to kill me. And with the adrenaline rush that he had, he ran over to my SUV. He picked up the vehicle with his bare hands. They freed me from the vehicle. They put me in the ambulance. Broken pelvis, broken ribs, fractured face, hole in the back of the head. And for 30 days, I was in a coma. They didn't know if I was going to make, I kept spitting up blood, lungs collapsed. But when I came through, those 6 words bugged me. May I have your attention, please? I want to encourage you that sometimes the tragedies that happen to you in your life are just an opportunity for you to reflect that there's something bigger, there's something more, there's something special, something else that you're supposed to be doing with your life. I am a man of faith, and I believe, and I believe in signs are sometimes just put in your way. I went to my post office box. In my post office box, there was just a little key. There was a key and a note from the postmaster. You've seen that before, haven't you? You've seen that. And basically, all the postmaster was trying to tell me was, you've got something coming to you that is bigger than your capacity. So what you need to do is enlarge your space. He was giving me a sign. There's something bigger, something better that is on its way. I was driving my car, minding my own business, and I looked in my rearview mirror, and there was a Brink truck. Well, you've seen those, haven't you? Big armored truck. And I went on, I started driving. Then I looked in my passenger side view mirror. And you know what it said? Things in the mirror are closer than they appear. You've got something that's on its way to meet you, but you can't let the tragedies of your life detour you, and steal your focus. So I want to tell you, if you're going to receive everything that has been laid out for you, it's going to take some harder work. It's going to take some focus. You're going to have to be careful about who is in your ear. But most importantly, your focus. Your focus, what you're thinking about, where you're looking, is where you're going. You know, a centologist is one who studies the behaviors of whales. It was their work that proved that the great blue whale was the world's largest animal. But some scientists were having a problem understanding why some of these great whales were finding themselves drowned on the shores of California. And after studying it for a while, what they concluded was these great whales swam their way to death because they were chasing minnows. Don't be caught up in chasing minnows. Don't get caught up in spending too much. How much time do you spend on social media or on doing all these things that have no significance, that are just simply time wasting? You're chasing minnows. And you know what? Having success in that which does not matter is really failure. Just ask the whale who died with a mouthful of minnows. Whatever your goals are, whatever your dreams are, stay focused, because there's something bigger that is waiting on you.
I want you to know, if you don't know, I want you to know he's more than a camera person. Yes, indeed. Wow. Well, you brought it, my brother. That's right. He should have just dropped the mic. Troy, how long have you been with us, Troy? You've been with us 2 years? Your growth has been phenomenal. It's just been phenomenal. My goodness. Yes. Okay, now, Sean, you're going to call up the people?